I understand your family joined a Maranatha Trip for the first experience of going on a Maranatha project, and that you went to Kenya.
That's true.
The project that Maranatha picked out was in a hilly country called Kimogoro. What struck you about trying to get to Kimogoro and what you found when you got there?
Number one, it was absolutely beautiful. So that was something I did not expect. But the poverty, the living conditions were very different than what I was used to. The road was very rough to get down. The place where people live is basically nothing. And then you get to the school and you have all of these children and they're so happy, but they live in squalor. They have basically nothing.
Squalor?
Squalor. Like mud and just everybody crowded into very small spaces.
All right, and the project we were going to do is what?
We built a dormitory for the students. So,
did the girls need a dormitory?
Yes.
Describe the dormitory for us.
The dormitory was this small building, and in each of the beds, the beds were smaller than an American twin-size mattress, and they would sleep 2 to 3 girls in one bed. And then underneath the bunk beds, they would have like a little trunk that they could put their possessions in, and their possessions fit very easily in that very small trunk.
No hanging closet?
No.
No sinks or basins to wash in? Nothing?
No bathrooms. They have an outhouse outside.
What about outlets for their cell phones and their iPads?
No, they would run a generator for electricity if they needed it for a program or something like that.
Did you see that the kids had nice school supplies and all ready for school?
No. The way they taught school was very interesting because the teacher would basically recite the information to them, and the children would listen and learn it back and repeat it back and forth. They didn't have books of their own.
Okay, so there were multiple projects going on this campus. There was a building project, the dorm. What did you land up having as your responsibility?
I did a vacation Bible school for the students. So we
For the whole school?
For the whole school.
How many?
235.
Grades?
From the age of 4 to the age of 14. So it was preschool up through 8th grade.
Wow. Did the kids like to sing?
Oh yes. It is so much fun to hear them sing. They will sing with so much joy. It's amazing.
Okay, so how could you do vacation Bible school, which often takes a lot of explaining and so forth, to kids in a foreign country like that?
We had a translator. The children up through the ages of 3rd grade speak Swahili, and then they start to learn English in 4th grade and above.
What did you see was a big need among the students to help them be better learners?
Oh, that's a long list.
No textbooks.
They had no textbooks.
No notebooks.
They did have some notebooks, and it was interesting. They treated them like they were worth gold.
Did every kid have a notebook?
No, not every kid had a notebook, and they all had pens. It was interesting to me that they had pens rather than pencils, and they would write things down in absolutely beautiful handwriting, and they were very careful about what they were writing. So it was so amazing when we did the Vacation Bible School. Oh, that's a side story, but when we did the Vacation Bible School, if we mentioned a Bible verse, one of the kids would start writing it down very carefully in a notebook, and the other kids would look over their shoulder to make sure they had it all, just so.
Do you suppose they get graded on their handwriting?
I would guess so.
Yeah, okay. So when it came to worship, how many kids at school brought their Bibles to worship?
Everyone. So
They all had Bibles?
Well, okay. Let me give you the backstory. So the first Sabbath that we were there, we drove out to Kimogoro to do church service. And when we did that, we passed out Bibles to the students.
Okay.
And they were so excited. It was the most amazing thing. They were holding them up, they were looking through them, they were very excited. And by the time we came to do Vacation Bible School on Monday, they had all written their names on the side of it. They were all being very careful with those Bibles because they were extremely excited that they got to own that Bible.
So they brought them to every Vacation Bible School?
Yes, and if we would mention a verse and we would say, in Genesis 2:13 it says this, they would turn to it. And if we said Psalms, 119:5 says this, they would turn to it. And they've learned a lot about reciting Bible verses, because we had some memory verse cards that we would hold up front, and they would repeat it with us, and they all knew how to say, they would say Psalms 119, verse 5.
Okay, now the road out to Kimogoro from the hotel was not very far in distance.
No, it was, I think, a total of 18 miles.
18 miles.
And 11 of those miles were paved. And we could drive, no, sorry, 7 of those miles were paved, 11 were unpaved. And we could drive the 7 miles in probably 10 or 15 minutes, but it took us an hour and a half to get from our hotel to the school because the unpaved road was
an hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
Wow. Okay, partway from the end of the blacktop to the school, we ran across a government school on the side of the road.
Yes.
Every day, back and forth, we passed that school. What happened when we went by that school?
Those kids were so friendly. They would come out, they would wave, they would smile, they'd come at the end of the school.
Was this an open field and stuff where they could see us?
No, it was like they had a fence, and then there were trees behind the fence, and those kids, when they'd see us coming, they'd climb up the fence and they'd wave and holler to us. They'd climb the trees, the fence, everything, and they'd wave. At the end of the school day, as they were being let out, we were coming back from the construction site, and those little boys would have their notebook underneath their arm, and they'd run with the bus as fast as they could.
And they could keep up with the bus?
Oh yes, because the road's so bad you're going very slow.
Oh, not because of the boys running. Okay, so every day we do this, and we do this, and we do this, and we realize going by that they don't have much either at school.
No.
So
we would see them playing soccer ball with a wadded up, tied up ball of like plastic bags and rags.
Just tied around. That was their soccer ball?
Yes.
Okay, were they having fun playing soccer?
Oh yes, they loved it.
Yeah,
they loved soccer.
So your team decided what when they saw this every day?
So we had a few extra supplies that had been donated by the volunteers that came with us, and near the end of the week we decided, well, why don't we share those with those school children? So we made arrangements with one of the teachers on Thursday so that we could come back Friday morning and pass out some supplies. So we got there Friday morning, and all of these children, hundreds of kids, are just lined up neatly in rows, singing and sitting there waiting for us.
Wow.
And we got there, and I walked up to the principal and I said, ma'am, we are visitors to Kenya. We've been coming here to do a work project, and your students have made us feel so welcome. Every day when we drive by, they're very friendly. They wave and they yell to us, and they've just been so kind. We have some gifts that we'd like to share with them. And the principal was like, oh, thank you so much. And I said, yes. We have some soccer balls, we have some pencils, we have some notebooks. And she looked at me and she said, oh, that's nice, but we were hoping you'd bring us Bibles.
Wow, this is a government school and they want Bibles, not notebooks and pencils.
Yes. And so I was floored, but I looked at her and I'm thinking, okay, if they want Bibles, we've got to find a way to get them some Bibles. I said, ma'am, we will figure out a way to get you some Bibles. How many learners do you have?
How many hours are we away from any place you can buy Bibles?
Oh, we're at least a 5-hour drive.
5-hour drive. Mm-hmm. And this is Friday.
And this is Friday morning. We're done at the job site Friday afternoon, so we're getting ready to leave the area on Sunday morning.
And we're going somewhere else for Sabbath.
Yes, we're going to a different church for Sabbath. So I told her, we'll figure something out. I asked her how many learners she had. That's what they call students. And she said, we have 327 learners. And then I asked how many faculty they have, and she said 17. So I went and talked to our volunteer coordinator. The volunteer coordinator staff is amazing over there. I said, Kotesh, I need 345 Bibles. As soon as possible. Okay. And so he did all the behind the scenes logistics, came to me later that day and said, I've been able to locate some Bibles. We have someone driving out over from Nairobi that will get in this evening, and he will have the Bibles. But the school, I don't believe, has classes tomorrow. I will call the principal and find out. He called the principal, and the principal said, no, we don't have classes tomorrow. But if your volunteers are willing to come, I will call every one of those students and ask them to come, or tell them about the Bibles and let them know you're coming back.
But the school buses don't run on Sabbath?
No, I don't know that they have school buses in general.
Oh, they don't have school. How do they come to school?
They walk.
They walk?
They walk. So Kotesh came to us and said, are you willing to come back on Sabbath afternoon? Of course, we were like, sure, we'd love to do that. And so he called the principal. She called every one of those students and told them we were coming back with Bibles.
Okay, so did we just have a few of the Maranatha volunteers to go back, or what did we think?
We had 2 buses worth.
2 busfuls of our group
Yes.
having to go back.
Yeah, they wanted to go. They were excited. So we showed up on Sabbath afternoon, and there are hundreds of kids lined up neatly in a row singing a song that was similar to If You're Happy and You Know It, Your Life Will Really Show It. And we walked up, we did some announcements and explained what we had, and then we passed out the Bibles. It was the most amazing experience. And you know, there were 327 students at that school. And on their day off, 315 showed up to get Bibles.
Wow. On the day off. And they all had to walk who knows how far to come.
Yes.
So here we are, literally in the middle of nowhere in the mountains of Kenya. Kids wanted a Bible and they got their Bible within one day. 5 hours away from any source of Bibles.
Yes.
Quite amazing.
Yes, it was amazing. God is so good. So.
And then did the kids sing for us?
Oh, they did. They sang the Bible. That's the book for me.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yep.
Isn't that something?
It was amazing.
All right, now there's a possibility of another trip coming up to the same place. What is next to that government school?
There is a church building.
A building?
No, it's not a building. It's a structure. It looks like a fort that my children would have made when they were about 7 years old. As in, like, it's just sticks sticking in the ground.
Okay,
And
no roof.
No roof. Nope, it's just like 6 poles with 6 other
But it
poles.
has a sign.
And it has a sign that says Tedowitz Seventh-day Adventist Church. So we are hoping that we could go back and build a church there.
Wow.
And
Okay.
invite some of those students to come check it out.
All right, so if you've not been on a Maranatha project before, it could be a bit daunting to go to a foreign country, different food, different climate, time change, big time change, bugs. What can you tell somebody who's not been about going with Maranatha on a trip?
Pray about it and go for it.